Hello and welcome to Nowhere. My name is Trish and I am the creator behind Nowhere Novelties. My business is space themed, so I wanted to create a space themed tumbler. So today we'll be making a space themed Nebula tumbler with alcohol inks and no glitter, but I'll teach you how to make it sparkle. If you're ready, let's strap in and shoot for the stars. All right, guys, I am starting off today showing you the spray painting process because you do need to see how those nebula spots are created. I am base painting with I believe this is a satin black. I didn't have a matte black, which would be preferred, but this is just a satin black because that's what I had. So I'm painting the entire cup with that satin black. I am doing short bursts, doing multiple coats if necessary, making sure we don't get any runs in the paint. Once the black paint is dry, I'm coming in with a flat white and I am spraying sort of close to the cup because we don't want too much overspray, but I am creating just little bursts, little pockets of white spray paint areas. These are going to be where the alcohol ink goes. I always like to give one that goes over the edge of the bottom of the cup. I think that looks really nice when it's done. And that's it, just let it dry. Now we are inside with our dry cup. I am getting these makeup sponges prepped. You don't need a whole sponge for one color of alcohol ink, so I do cut them up. And this is going to sound silly, but I cannot stress it enough. Please, please, please wear gloves when you're using alcohol inks. Otherwise, you are turning yourself and everything else colors. Okay, now for the inks. These are Inkwave brand alcohol inks. I got them off of Amazon. I'm going to show you each of the colors. I personally like to pair just 2 colors per nebula spot. I don't like to add more than 2 because the colors can get muddled. So I do like to stick with 2 kind of complementary colors for each nebula spot. So I have 3 pairs of colors for the nebula spots. I also just have plain black. I'll show you why later. You'll also want some 91% rubbing alcohol on hand. I put mine in a little like nozzle bottle. It'll just go onto the sponges, which helps to dilute down and spread and mix the alcohol inks as you're applying them. Starting with this big spot right here, I am going with purple and the lighter blue, more of like a turquoise blue. I'm going to go with the darker purple first because I know that's going to spread really easily. And when you're doing these alcohol inks and these nebulas, you kind of want to have different shapes. I know obviously it's not a shape, but you want different designs and different shaping within each nebula. It's not just going to be like circles or, half and half. You really got to make it look abstract. That's what space is. And you want to just have fun with it. So I have the purple on one side of the sponge, the teal or turquoise on the other side of the sponge. That way, as I'm applying and dabbing, it kind of starts to mix on its own. We're going to go in with the alcohol next, but we're moving on to the next 2 colors. Okay, and if I'm being real, guys, this brand of alcohol ink is not the best. This is turquoise blue. Tell me that's not green. Is that green? It's definitely green. And it's so light, it doesn't have a whole lot of pigment. It's like my least favorite color, but I do like this particular spot to have like a more diffused look. So same as before, I have the green, not blue, on one side of the sponge, and then I'm coming in with this dark blue to go against it. I like the contrast, even though I don't like the ink. I like the contrast of the really deep dark blue against the softer green. And as these 2 colors mix, it really comes together and looks nice as this spot on the bottom of the cup. Your darker colors absolutely will start to take over and will fill in your whole spot. So you'll see me go in with more of that green instead of more blue to really try to keep the spot lighter so that I don't lose the light green color. Now this is my 4th Nebula Cup, and I do this every time. I have 3 pairs of colors, but 4 nebula spots. So I do always end up having 2 spots that are the same color. I try to separate them on like kind of each side of the cup. So you'll see that, you know, one is kind of higher up on the back side of the cup, and this one here is on the lower and other side of the cup. And I'm doing 2 different techniques, I guess you would say, of applying the alcohol ink. So kind of doing a semicolon on the one spot with the red, and then more of like a target look on the other spot. Now, as opposed to using red and orange alcohol inks, I always use red and yellow, because as you start to mix, it very quickly turns into orange, and the red and the yellow really blend together well. You have that deeper, darker red against the lighter, more translucent yellow, and I think it really looks authentic. So now I'm starting to bring out the isopropyl alcohol. This is going to create a variation in the depth of each of the sections. There's really no way to describe it until you see it happen in real time. But as you dab, the alcohol ink basically disperses from the pure alcohol, and it really creates this wild effect. A wild effect that you cannot see because I am out of frame for most of this application. I'm sorry, guys. Listen, this was my 2nd video that I recorded, and you see me, I'm like, oh no, get in frame, bring the cup back in frame. And I was just convinced that I was in frame until I watched the footage back, and I'm like, oh, come on, man. So I'm sorry, guys, you only see like a very small portion of the effect actually happening and me diffusing the inks, and I sincerely apologize. So guys, this nebula design, you can turn the entire cup into these big white splotches with only a little bit of black. I like the depth in the black, which we'll add in just a moment, but you can turn this into the most gorgeous space design ever. What I like to do as we get finishing up with the main spots is all of the overspray that's on the black of the cup. We are gonna obviously cover up with some of the black alcohol ink, but I think it's important to drag out your colors into those white spots, so that as you put the black on it as well, you almost see that color coming through behind the black. In some spots, you almost want the gaseous look where as the nebula diffuses back into space, you only have like trickles of that color coming through. We're finally ready to bring out the black. The black is really just going to deepen the areas between the nebulas so you don't see as much of that overspray look. On different cups, I've actually taken just pure alcohol and a cotton pad and really scrubbed at the black paint to try to get some of that overspray off of those areas. But I figured black alcohol ink covers it up, obviously, and keeps with the cloudiness of the design. So just pat, 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 forever and ever, all over the cup. Make sure you're using the pure alcohol to diffuse into the nebula spots. You do not want to really put a whole lot of black into those spots. You want the color to come into the black, not the black go into the color. Otherwise, you're covering up all of your hard work. While I'm patting over and over again, I'll give you a little bit of backstory to Nowhere and why my business is named Nowhere Novelties. So Nowhere, spelled with a K, is actually from Guardians of the Galaxy, both the comics and the Marvel Cinematic Universe movie. I am admittedly a total Marvel nerd, but I also really love space. So I put those two loves together and created my business name. Super fun fact, the tattoo that you see on my arm here in frame is actually Nowhere from the Guardians of the Galaxy comic. A lot of people say that it looks like Terminator. Please don't tell me that. It is Nowhere. Google it. After many minutes of dabbing and finessing this alcohol ink, I am finally wrapping up. So here is a finished look at the project so far. Okay, I said in the intro, I was going to teach you how to make this thing sparkle with no glitter per se. Here's the secret. Helix additive from the glitter grind. You're gonna see this when I open the lid. It looks silver, but dude, when I tell you, you need just the teeniest amount, not even a pea size. Look at that, just a little bit goes such a long way. And hello, noob YouTuber, I'm about to be out of frame again. Oh, look, you can't even see what I'm doing. Great, awesome. But you're gonna see it on the cup, just watch. All right, so make sure you incorporate the additive well, and then we're going to apply this to the cup all over like you would a typical layer of epoxy, but just this is going to create the most beautiful sparkle. Okay, look at this. I'm gonna let the cup go around. Just look at the difference between like the raw alcohol ink. And look at how beautiful that is. When I tell you the shimmer of the Helix additive is unreal. It's like cheat glitter, but it's so fine. And on this black cup, this space themed cup, it really brings together the look and it looks like sparkling stars. Okay, so the business of things. This is a 20-ounce classic cup from Makerflow Crafts. So this is 20 ounces of epoxy. I actually do not use all of the epoxy. I mixed up too much because this has no glitter, so there's nothing for the epoxy to really like soak up. So this has too much epoxy on it, if I'm being honest. Didn't need this much, but I don't care. I love the sparkle. I do recommend one more coat of just plain Jane, no additive epoxy after this before you decal. Speaking of decals, it is decal day. So I specifically left this nice big black spot on purpose. So this is going to be where we put this gorgeous little decal. This is Teckwrap holographic opal vinyl. It came in a pack of like 6 different colors, so don't ask me which particular color it is. And yes, I know we lost the S in the transfer. Don't you worry, I saw it. I did purchase this SVG. I will link it in the description box below. Now, once we get our S back applied where it is supposed to be, that is it. 2 final coats of epoxy and you have a beautiful space Nebula Cup that gives you good vibes. Any questions? Leave them in the comments below. I hope to see you guys real soon. Bye-bye now.